All right, wonderful. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, um, Karen, as always, and thank you also to the practice leaders as well. I do slip in and look on YouTube to see what's going down. Um, so I did catch part of last week's um, offering from Tempe. So it was really wonderful. Thank you for that. And yeah, and it's wonderful to be back with you all. Welcome to those of you who are new. It's really wonderful to have you. And of course, welcome back to all of you who've been here before. This is indeed our medicine Buddha practice. I'm going to get started. I'm not talking shit. I'm actually going to get started with practice, because I want to, it's starting, right? It's like I'm going to get started with practice, then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, I should talk about this, I should talk about that, but no, I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna focus and get my camera together as well. It's just, I can't be bothered. So I'm kind of bothered. I'm sorry. I know I teach about holding space and acceptance and everything, but like really, it's very different. This is a different situation. I need a centered camera. I need this to get free. Right. Okay. Um, yeah. And so the themes of our practice for this session is really coming into the energy of spring, right? Of awakenings, right? Moving from winter into this kind of reemergence, right? To survive winter, often you experience some depletion. And so when spring arises, it's about replenishing and preparing for the summer, right? And at summer, like that's when we're our most productive. That's when we're preparing, right? And the seasons, practicing with the seasons are important because they remind us of change, right? They remind us of cycles. Everything has its season, you know. Even this season that feels like everything is falling apart, you know. Every day it's just like some horrific news about some fucking tariff and some law that restricts us, from being ourselves, right? And even on today, this is International Transgender Awareness Day. And this is important, for us, to remember that we all deserve to have this freedom to express ourselves and to be our freest and the most authentic self, right? And no one has a right to police that, you know. Um, and this is why, I wanted to play Lauryn Hill today. A lot of these songs just dropped in. These songs that I offered today, they just kind of happened today. As I listen to music all the time, and they just kind of dropped in, But like, you just have to be free. Like, don't. It's not about waiting for a policy. It's not about waiting for a law. It's like you just have to do it, right? And of course, being in an unfree world, there are consequences to choosing freedom. And a carceral reality, yeah, absolutely. But this is the practice that helps us to hold those consequences, to hold the retaliation of the system, right? But the system ultimately, samsara, right? It's a system that we're fabricating second by second at the same time. So we're both the masters of the system and also the victims of the system. And this is what Buddha Dharma is helping us to understand, that we have to start letting go of the ways in which we're creating our experience of carcerality by remembering, right? By remembering that this relatively, yeah, it seems real, but ultimately there's no there. There's no here, right? And in our practice, right, I think this is the goal of gradual practice, is to slowly begin to feel that the the illusion of everything. Like slowly, subtly begin to tune into that. It's not supposed to like, the point of practice isn't for like all of a sudden, like everything becomes a dream, right? You can't hold that sudden realization, right? It's like again, it's like when you wake up really intensely or really like forcefully. Has someone ever like shooken you awake and how like violent that seems? You know, like it's the same thing. We're not trying to shove ourselves aggressively awake. We're gently calling ourselves back into remembering, right? The gentleness. Even though Tantra is the quick path, it is also very gentle. But I guess that gentility or, that gentleness is subjective, you know. Um, but this is a gradual awakening, and you will begin to feel that gradual awakening. You'll begin to feel the softness. Like things won't feel so sharp like they used to. There's a rounding of the edges that starts to happen. And that's the result of the practice, right? It's the softness, the tenderness, even within experiences that seem really violent, right? And that's what we're going for, right? In our practice. That's the healing that we're trying to get to is the softness, the rounding of the edges, right? Getting to a place where we remember our agency to choose what is best for us, right? To choose what feels freeing for us. To choose the fluidity over the rigidity, right? To choose the space over the contractions, right? To choose the tenderness over the hardness, right? To choose openness instead of closeness, right? And to especially do it now when it feels the most unsafe to be soft, to be open, right? And this is it. Like this is the dilemma, you know? We feel like we have to shut down to guard against, to protect ourselves against the hostility of the world. But in fact, we're being asked to open even more widely, more intensely, right? To learn how to open and still feel protected in the opening, right? And I think this is what we're trying to do in our practice to feel open, to feel fluid, but also not feeling vulnerable, right? Or at least like our notions of vulnerability in the more negative sense, right? As being attacked or being open for attack, right? But vulnerability in this sense, meaning that like I'm not hiding anything, right? I may not be telling you shit, but that doesn't mean I'm hiding it, right? And that's how some of us survive. Like I can be open, like I can understand and be very clear that some shit is not your business, right? But that doesn't mean I'm trying to hide it at the same time. It just means that like you haven't earned the right to hear that truth from me, right? But I'm not hiding from that truth. I'm very much aware, right? And that's the balance that we're trying to get to in our practice. I'm not walking away shouting I'm, out and proud and all of everything, but nor am I trying to hide anything either, right? If it comes up, it comes up, right? I mean, that's the balance, right? And we all have to make different decisions about how we navigate that balance with actual surviving the spaces that we're in as well, right? And again, the word is balance. We have to find the balance that works for us, where I can practice my own truth telling and at the same time feel as if like I can hold that truth for myself, you know. So that's important, and that's I think that goes back to the Heart Sutra as well. How do you find that balance of form and emptiness right now? Right? to find the balance. And I think one of the things, as we start moving into practice, and by the way, I guess people can do this on their own. I want you, well, you don't have to have Sopa Rinpoche's prayer up, because I'm gonna maybe reference that. Um, but we don't have to put that on the screen. You just want to make sure people know how to get to it, in case if they want to read it. But you don't have to read it. I'm using as a reference, perhaps, in a couple of minutes. Um, but yeah, as we turn into our practice, right? We can even begin now. Like, let's begin now by, first of all, releasing expectations. Because it's never gonna work with me anyway. I'm gonna zig when you think I'm gonna zag, so it doesn't matter. You think I'm there, but here I go. The best dharma is the dharma that sneaks in from the back door when you're not watching. Because if it's coming right towards you, the ego can sabotage, right? It can assimilate, it can colonize that dharma and feed on it, intensifying sense of ego. That's why the dharma is like, let me just change my outfit, and let me put on the disguise, and just sneak around the back, while you're paying attention over here. I'm gonna get you from the back, you know. That's the best dharma. That is the most potent medicine, right? So you might as well just start at the beginning and say, you know what, I'm not even gonna try to meet this face on. I'm just gonna let it happen. Let the dharma happen, right? So as we begin, right, on behalf of our gathered practice community, I call on and greet the lands that we're practicing on. And I greet this land that I'm practicing on and being held on, the ancestral lands of the Creek, Muskogee, and Cherokee people. And as I call on the lands, I call on the sky, right, that holds and watches everything. I call on all the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Yidams, the Dharma protectors. I call on all the benevolent spirits, including all of our benevolent ancestors. I call on the guides, elders, and guardians of the sacred elements, especially the sacred waters. I call and greet all of these beings. And on behalf of our community, I affirm that we enter into practice with good intentions. And these intentions are rooted in our deep belief, our deep commitment to the liberation of all beings from this delusion that we call samsara, in the carceral state. We do our practice, we engage in practice on behalf of all beings, not just for ourselves. And as we enter into this sacred conversation with Medicine Buddha, we do so praying that this medicine awakens for all of us and for everyone who's connected to us. So may the fruits of our practice give rise to benefit that can far exceed this moment, but will impact all those who are yet to come. May it be so. And so when you're ready, shifting your attention to the seat, noticing the weight of your body, the seat rising to hold you. Let yourself come home to being held. Come home to being held. And as I continue, and particularly for those of you who are in the Seven Homecomings certification course, pay attention to language right now. Coming home to the seats, trusting the seat to hold you. And of course, the land is rising, the land, the earth as the mother. Not our mothers, not our physical birth parents and mothers necessarily, but the mother as someone who, as a being, as an awakened being, that is only here to sustain our wellness and to help us get free, which I think that should be the motivation of any parent and all parents. But this connection to the land is a connection to real love, to authentic love, a love that says everything, not just everyone, everything needs to be free. So feeling the earth rise to hold you as the earth, the land rises to hold all of us. And I wonder if you can connect to that expression of deep love, deep care, that regardless of who we are or what we have done, the lands are always loving us, always asking us to remember, to remember. So letting our bodies be, right? Allowing our bodies to be held and supported, offering whatever our body needs, right? Taking care of your bodies as we move deeper into our practice. This is one of the things that the land, the earth is always teaching me, to take care of my body because my body is an extension of the land, of the earth itself. So to offer this kindness to my body begins a process of beginning to offer kindness to the earth. And as I offer kindness to the earth and deep gratitude to the earth, I slowly begin to offer gratitude and kindness to my body. What does it mean to let your body be free in this moment? Use the sacred, profound, powerful practice of relaxing, even in this moment of crisis. How do we rest? How do we let go? How do we suspend the self-policing that we've only learned from the ways in which we ourselves have been policed? Do our bodies deserve that? Well, really, does anything deserve that policing? So relax these psychic, energetic boundaries that we rely on to keep our bodies rigid and contained, and allow that rigidity to dissolve some. And letting go of thinking of the, the boundaries of our bodies, letting go of thinking of the boundaries of our bodies as something that's hard or unmalleable, like glass or metal. But think of the energetic boundaries of your body as something that's like rubber or soft plastic. So let those energetic boundaries expand and open. Allow yourself to take up space on your seat. Trust the seat can hold that expansion as well. And so when you're ready, shifting attention to your breath, just noticing the in breath and the out breath, in and out. Allowing the out breath, the exhale, to fill the space. So releasing that out breath, letting it go. You're done with that breath. And as you inhale the new breath, the new oxygen, welcome that inhalation. Celebrating that inhalation as the arrival and the replenishing of vital energies. Not just oxygen, but also the energy of life itself. Inhaling deeply this energy of life and breath and oxygen. And as we release, we are thankful that that out breath can carry what we no longer need. And as that out breath is releasing, let go. Let go of the shit you don't need anymore. Let the breath take care of you. And when you're ready, shifting your attention to your mind, but particularly thoughts, emotions, how you're feeling, what you're thinking. Knowing that the point of any meditation practice is not to get rid of anything, but just to notice. And in our noticing, disrupt reactivity. And as we disrupt reactivity, we open up the space to respond, to choose a response. And our response right now is just to watch, to experience thoughts, emotions, knowing that the earth is rising to hold you, knowing that the breath is there as it continues to bring in what we need and to release what we no longer need. Just like the cycles of the season, to release, to move, to restore, to awaken, always the cycle. And the doorway slowly begins to open to remember what we are, that we're not these bodies, we're not our thoughts, our emotions, we're not even the breath. We are states of being, states that completely transcend anything, right, that we can possibly conceptualize in this moment. And knowing that it's still okay, right, to lean into this state of being that seems so far away, that seems so unfathomable. But if our consciousness can imagine samsara, then our consciousness, of course, can dream back into our most liberated expressions. Yeah. Well, some of you are struggling. Absolutely. Right. But what are you struggling with? And I just remember Soka Rinpoche's heart advice, right? Beginning with be not distracted. Be not distracted. We got here because we were distracted. So letting go of all this reactivity and just allowing everything to be, to rise and fall, to come and go, to awaken, to fall asleep again, holding space for cycles, the ultimate cycle being birth and death, birth and death. On the ultimate level, there are no cycles. It just is. But we return back to the ultimate when we finally realized there were no cycles to begin with. Just one story and narrative piled on top of one another over and over, forming a reality. So be not distracted. Let go of creating the illusion. So plant the watchman of mindfulness. The watch person of mindfulness. Just let awareness be. If we just stop fiddling with it and tinkering and just allow ourselves just to be held by awareness itself. That's all we're being asked to do. And Rinpoche continues and says, on the path of distraction, the thief of Mara lies and waits. So Mara is only doubts, confusion, distraction, craving. This distraction is always waiting. But because the mind of attachment and aversion is Mara, regarded as illusion, free from all duality. Right? How to gaze into the world, how to be in the world, how to be in our bodies, how to be in communities, how to be in apocalypse, and still choose responsiveness instead of reactivity. To have this inkling, this attunement that relatively, yes, this is intense, but ultimately, what's actually happening? And how do we get a little trickle of this absolute or ultimate experience? How do we get some of that trickling into the material, concrete, rigid experience of this illusion? Because, when you're making a sauce or a gravy, right, and you're mixing and cooking and starts getting real thick, what do? You have to cut it with some type of liquid, some water, some milk, some broth, something. You have to cut it. And maybe it's just time to cut the thickness of materialism with a little bit of broth of emptiness. Right? You get a few drops into this thickness, so you won't survive it. You can't, no one wants to eat a thick gravy. You can't pour that on anything. So temper this thickness with a little bit of this ultimate experience. And everything that we've been doing is about expanding into this ultimate experience, the relaxing, the opening, the being held by the earth, disrupting reactivity, connecting to space. This is how we begin to manage the overwhelming realness of samsara and carcerality. It doesn't make it go away. We don't do practice to erase, we do practice to gain insights. And insight helps us to embody clarity and wisdom. And that clarity or that wisdom helps us to meet each moment of this reality with care, with directness, with intention, right? With fierceness when it is called for. So Rinpoche continues and says, once your own mind is known to be primordial purity, free from contrivance, there is no other Buddha, right? When we realize our minds, our consciousness is also free from the intense realness that is fabricating, then we realize that we have always been the Buddha. We have always been the great medicine keeper and doctor, or the great mother of liberation, or the great bodhisattva of love, or the great Buddha of knowledge, or the fierce mother. We have always been these beings. But look at your own face. Look at your own face. There is nothing else to realize. So rest at ease. This is spontaneous non-meditation. Because if there's nothing to begin with, what are we doing? Meditating on something. Because the whole thing is, why are you practicing being something that you inherently are? That's going to be the joke at the end of the journey. What the fuck was that? And so from here, from this experience, we're going to call forth the essence, the mind, the presence of Medicine Buddha, beginning with our first mantra, Om Minla Sangye Kino. Soha. Medicine Buddha, please think of me, look upon me, gaze upon me. Right? Right? And of course, we'll start with Om, chant the mantra 3 times, and then we'll end with Om. Right? So we'll begin. And from the emptiness of all phenomena, from the depths, from the very heart of stillness that lies at the center of all phenomena, we call into emptiness, calling for the consciousness, the arising of Medicine Buddha, the great healer. And we pray that emptiness shapes itself into this great healer that we call Medicine Buddha. And we begin to imagine that Medicine Buddha begins to awaken in our heart centers. And if you would like, you can bring a hand up to your heart center. And imagine that in our heart centers itself, supported by the energy of our bodies, the energy of our hands, our palms, that Medicine Buddha begins to awaken. First, awakening as a ball of light, a pearl of light, and then slowly taking form as this representation or expression of Medicine Buddha that feels appropriate for us. What does Medicine Buddha look like or feel like for you in your practice? Not just the pictures and iconography, that we see everywhere. But who is your medicine Buddha? What does your medicine Buddha look like? What does your medicine Buddha feel like? And your medicine Buddha can take on any gender expression or rise beyond gender expression. This is your medicine Buddha, not mine, not my teachers, not your communities, but yours. Because the medicine Buddha that arises for us, I think, is the medicine Buddha whom we believe ourselves to be. So another question is, who are you? If you were completely free and the very embodiment of wisdom medicine, and allow that being to awaken in your heart centers, and we call that being medicine Buddha. Because there's no other Buddha except for you. So take your seats. And so holding that expression of medicine Buddha in our heart centers, we turn our attention to the main mantra. Teya Taon Bekense. Sorry, I got distracted. Teya Taon Bekense. Maha Bekense Lasu Sumangate Soha. Okay. And we're gonna, as we enter into our mantra work, and of course the instruction is that you can join in the chanting in your own space, you can sit and listen. But in any case, just let the mantra work for you. Let it do work for you. Let it rush over you. Let it feed you. Let it awaken and bring forth these expressions of who you are that you keep buried and hidden. Just let the mantra be. Teya Taum Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Razu Sumungate Soa Teya Naum Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Razu Sumungate Soa Teya Naum Begenze Begenze ma begenze razumungate soa te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razumungate soa te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razumungate soa Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razuzungare zoa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razuzungate soa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razuzumungate soa. Te anda begenze, 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 ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Te anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate zoa. Te anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate soa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate soa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate soa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate soa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate soa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgate soa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Anda om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razı zumgare zoa. Eada begenze, ma begenze, lass es magati soa. 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 So I'm just turning my attention to the prayer requests to offer these. And as you said, staying in the state, staying where you are, and as I offer the prayers, we imagine that we just offer the prayers, the energy of the prayers into or to all of the sources of refuge that we have gathered. And that's those sources, or that source of refuge, that gathering, are all the Buddhas in all of existence, all the Buddhas, all of the Bodhisattvas, the Yidams, the Dharma protectors, all the beings of light, all the guardians and guides and caretakers of the sacred elements, all benevolent ancestors, all beings essentially who are helping all beings to get free from samsara. We call on you and we ask that you hold these prayers, that you work on our behalf, and at the same time, you bless us and you help us to also work to bring about the fruition of these prayers for ourselves, for our beloveds, and for our communities. We begin by offering prayers for me and my housemate, that we remember our belonging, our divinity, and that we speak and act in clear liberation for our community and cultivate a loving refuge in our home space. Offering prayers for Bill and his family, that he may have an easy chemo and radiation treatment after being diagnosed with terminal cancer. Prayers that his remaining months on earth are filled with love. Offering prayers of gratitude for Teddy's recovery, prayers of gratitude for all the seen and unseen support around me and my beloveds, prayers for me to be the very best mom I can be for R and myself, prayers for continued surrender and growth, prayers for chaplaincy to be a viable option for me and that resources are provided, offering prayers of gratitude for getting a car, prayers for beings to feel deep care and safety, may all beings be free and feel care, offering prayers for U.S. citizens to wake up and push back now in ways that are appropriate to them. Let us revel in joy and revolution and keep each other safe. Offering prayers for my sibling Jay, who is autistic and non-binary, as they navigate their 20s and find their way. May they always be safe and protected and loved. Prayers for my grandfather M, who is in the bardo. May he attain full liberation. Offering prayers for the safety of all beings. Offering prayers of gratitude for my health after spine surgery and a job that feeds my soul and is gentle to my body and mind. Prayers for voters in Wisconsin and Florida, that they may have enlightened insight in their efforts. Prayers for all of our magical trans siblings, so they may be protected and thrive. Offering prayers for NRSP, SC, and A. Prayers for Lama Rod, all Dharma keepers and the teams that support them to be free. Prayers for the blessed community to be well and to support collective and individual liberation. Prayers for spiritual abolition. Prayers for all beings in all realms and timelines to be free of suffering, to reach liberation right now. Prayers for myself to be free of illness, illusion, and attachment to suffering in my home and in my brain. Prayers that what I need to be free be revealed to me. Prayers that only clarity remains as I work with emptiness to end this difficult situation. May this difficult situation end once and for all, please. May I be well and be able to do the work and the work, honey, in service of liberation. Prayers for C, who sustained a traumatic foot injury this past weekend. May she recover quickly. May she be resourced and may her suffering be eased. Prayers for safety, well-being, and ongoing dignity of all currently detained in ICE centers. Prayers for those in the West to unnumb their hearts and commit to collective action. Prayers for myself to be in my most aligned path. Prayers for the health of my body. Offering prayers for my mom to have safe and stable housing. Prayers for M and R, may they experience healing and freedom. Offering prayers for my heart, may I be protected and receive the love and support I deserve. May the ancestors hold me as I navigate this paralyzing grief. Prayers that my course reaches all who need it. May it be of benefit for all beings. And offering prayers for my financial abundance. Offering prayers of gratitude for the controlling people in my life who give me the opportunity to practice setting and holding my boundaries with compassion and empathy. Prayers of liberation for us all, Ashe. May Abba have a safe and happy journey. May little soul heal and be happy to it. May all beings be strengthened by hope and community. Offering prayers for Daniel Toplak, one of Mother Mary's first Western devotees who had been living in Thalheim near her for decades. He died unexpectedly recently. May his passage be blessed. Offering prayers for my son Jamie, worried about his employer's company folding because of tariffs. For my daughter, son-in-law, and their 2 children in the autism spectrum, may they find all the resources they need for themselves and their children. For myself, physical, emotional, spiritual resonance during this time of extreme anxiety, that I can show up for myself and all the others who rely on me for presence and care. Prayers that I can discern the best possible treatments for my neuropathy and ways to truly care for my body. Offering prayers for Quinny, the beagle who entered the bardo last week, and her loving doggy parents, Colleen and Steve, grieving her loss. Prayers for the people, land, and all flora and fauna of Myanmar, for peace in all directions, restoration, and abundant love. Prayers for my family, for fierce and compassionate clarity, wisdom, and decisiveness to support one another and our mom as she declines. Prayers for myself, for resources to tend to my raw, broken heart, namely for a loving community of human beings to offer compassion, attuned care, and open tenderness during and beyond this time of transformation through loss. And prayers for Lama Rod and the team for continued protection, fortification, and abundant resources in all forms. Prayers for all those impacted by the recent earthquakes. Prayers for healing from my father's health issues. Prayers for my creative projects. May I let myself dive into my creativity and not be afraid and distracted. Prayers for M, prayers for G, prayers for H, for loving, sweet protection. Prayers for Luke, the dog next door who lives outside. May he stay warm tonight in case the temperature drops. Prayers for M, S, and C. Prayers for my creativity. Prayers for Turna and her recovery from surgery. Prayers for Marulisa, may she be protected and in contact with hope. Prayers for Annette, Kathleen, Nellie, Matthew, and Scooter. Prayers for the upcoming labor and birth for mothers, Tara, Sol, Valentina, Shani, and Alejandra, and the partner of Mike. Prayers for me to find a way to make my soul whole. Prayers for all the migrants and all incarcerated beings. Offering prayers for Skylar, 10-year-old, on a devastating diagnosis, and her mom, Janetta. Prayers for myself diagnosed with breast cancer, for my son disabled with MS. Prayers for those people and institutions trying to exterminate my trans community, that they may be released from their hate and fear. Prayers that Danny and her 18-month-old may get to her mother before she passes. Prayers that I can act with compassion and loving kindness with people who lie to me out of insecurity and social conditioning. Prayers for the ground beneath our feet and each breath. Prayers for all those helping us to get free and all those needing help. Prayers for the healing of my body and the bodies of all beings. Prayers that I can give myself the stillness, rest, and deep reflection I need to heal and transform to meet this moment with new levels of clarity, capacity, and compassion. Prayers that my family and I can continue to do the work we came here to do, to heal and reconcile with the earth, that we are protected and our livelihood is provided for in that work. Prayers to help me secure housing so I can rebuild my life and heal my PTSD. Prayers for Diane, who has cancer and needs to be on oxygen for poor lung health. Prayers and help for her dance again and lift her depression. Prayers to liberate all trans and GNC folks and protect them. And prayers to help transphobia and dispel our bigotry. Prayers for Blakely's health, her physical and emotional bodies, her access to health care. Prayers that I may be free from all current and past abuse and violence. May my healing include grace, mercy, and endless protection. Prayers for Kirk, who took his own life last week. May his soul be free and at peace, and may all whose lives he touched be comforted. Prayers for Jim Mock, gentle and caring man who recently entered the barrio. And prayers for Gaza. May the genocide end and people of Palestine, they are safe and free. Prayers that I may let go of guilt of my daughter's suicide, that I may realize I am worthy of healing. And offering prayers for Ashi. We continue to offer prayers to offer all the prayers that remain unspoken. I'll offer particular prayers for my aunt who is still in the hospital recovering from a stroke, and for Abner's dad, that he may receive the care that he needs as he begins his transition into the bardo and spirit world. May we continue to pray for the complete abolition of all systems of harm and violence, that we continue to pray for all the resources that we need to navigate this moment of systemic collapse, and we pray that the new world, the new liberated future, come into focus as quickly as possible, and that we may embody that freedom as quickly as possible, while at the same time remembering who and what we are. May we get free as quickly as possible. May it be so. And we offer these prayers to all of our benefactors, our sources of refuge, and may they bring about the liberation of all beings from suffering. And just for a few minutes, as we turn our minds back into our mantra practice, and this time imagining that we take on the full form of the medicine Buddha that we have awakened in our heart centers, that we become that medicine Buddha as we offer this mantra. So we begin again. O Teanda Begenze, Begenze, Ma Begenze, Rasusumum Gate Soha. 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 대하나옴 백연세 마백연세라서 수문가제소아 대하나옴 백연세 마백연세라서 수문가제소아 대하나옴 백연세 마백연세라서 수문가제소아 대하나옴 마백연세라서 수문가제소아 대하나옴 백연세 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 마백연세라서 수문가제소아. So as you have been imagining yourself in the form of your most authentic medicine Buddha expression, we begin to imagine that our bodies, as this medicine Buddha begins to dissolve into white light, and everything around us begins to dissolve into white light. And slowly that white light dissolves into emptiness itself. And now our awareness simply rests within this non-conceptual experience. So when you're ready, we imagine that our bodies begin to take form again, coming back to the weight of our bodies and the seat rising to hold us. beginning to reawaken our bodies through just simple, slow movement and a few deep cleansing breaths. And then we turn our attention to Shanti Davis' prayer, which you will find in the chat. And we'll recite this 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may also be a source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. All right. Thank you so much. If some of you want to hang on for a few minutes, I'll take a question or two. What that really means is I'll get through answering a quarter of one question until I get tired and want to have dinner. So that's really how it's going to go. I know we have questions. I would love to hear from someone who's never asked a question, or those of you who only come to this. If you don't see me in other spaces, I like to privilege those questions. And of course, if you have anything, I don't want to belabor the point here.
Yeah. So if you are identify as any of those kinds of folks, please feel free to raise your hand, either physically or through Zoom.
Mary, Mary.
I also see.
Hello,
Okay, perfect.
I'm Mary. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I'm really struggling with control issues and rigidity, and it's really painful. And I'm in the process of letting it go, but I would love to be recommended some prayers or practice to help me work through this and let it go. I'm really like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And this is why the earth is so important. Like you need to, it's important for us to rely on the earth right now, and a prayer that I would suggest is just a prayer of surrender to the earth, to the lands. It's where, the control, that there's so much fear because sometimes we don't feel as if there's anything supporting us, holding us. We feel like we have to keep everything together, but offer this to the earth. And as you offer this to the earth, offer some food to, like an actual offering of food, of water, um, to the earth as well, you know. that generosity opens up a flow as well. So whenever you're praying, right, and particularly if you're praying to the elements, because you can pray to the rest of the elements as well, but when you pray, you offer something, right? And that offering opens us up, right, to receive, but it also opens us up for some of this energy to move out of us, right? And the fear itself, the fear beneath all of it, right? Offer that to the earth as well. And keep doing it and do it every day. I do this every day, you know. So thank
And,
you.
and
Yeah.
Carmen has a question.
Okay. And this will be the last one, I guess.
Thank you, Lama
Hey,
Rod. I
hey.
appreciate that. I'm new to not Buddhism, but I was studying Zen Buddhism for a while,
Yeah.
and I'm challenged with the notion that as an African American woman, I do all the things in terms of nature and everything you speak to, and I appreciate that. How do I transition to this practice, and what does that look like? Only because I, in the spaces that I'm in, they're very Western Zen is very white, and
Oh,
I'm just being very transparent here.
yeah. Yeah.
And I am not even struggling. It's more like I'm observing, and I'm ready to transition to something that's more indigenous to who I am as a Black woman.
Yeah. Absolutely. I
And
mean,
I like what you speak about. I'll just say that every time I get on, I'm like, oh, I don't know if he's going to say anything. And then you'll say, today, you said, I'm not hiding anything. I'm just not sharing that shit with you. Like, I get that. So I'm in that space of being present. I'm very much into nature. I'm a holistic health practitioner, all
yes.
of that. And I want to commune with something that resonates with me on an indigenous level, not just on the Western
Yeah.
platform.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I won't get into Zen and everything, but there's a discipline to Zen that gets overemphasized as it moves through white Western convert communities. As I often say, the form isn't the practice, right? But I think there's a way that form becomes a distraction because it's easy. If we just do the form, then we'll get free, and that's actually not the practice. The form creates and helps to create and establish some of the causes and conditions for our remembering, our awakening, but that's not the destination. The form is not the destination. It's just a helpful aid and a tool to get us back, to something more authentic. But that's then Zen. But anyhow, as to like transitioning, yeah, just I mean, if this is the practice that feels really calling, like it's calling to you, just continue practicing. Continue like joining us and practicing with the recordings on YouTube. Um, and we offer so many courses and drop-in sessions and so forth on in the community as well. That really is about honoring this return back to a real experience of indigeneity. And I'm going to be doing that more and more too. Like this is just something that's happening as well. So, but there will be more opportunities, as well to deepen this kind of transition and this opening. But just to be true to yourself, like you're a healer, so honor the call, and just and relax into it. And that's what I did. Essentially, I was just like, I'm letting go of these labels of what a Buddhist is, or what a Lama is, or what a a black man is, or a queer person, whatever. Like, I just start letting go of labels, and relaxing and trusting that I'm being led back, right? And a lot of people, the more I do that, the more people. There are some people who are just like, I can't deal with that. I just want a straightforward Buddha. I mean, not straightforward. You are kidding, but no, I want a straightforward Dharma teacher. I just want to learn Dharma. you know. But when you're so rigid around Dharma, you're not going to learn anything because Dharma isn't something that's contained. You know, I have a fucking degree in Dharma. Like, I tell you what, you can write all the papers you want to about Dharma. That has nothing to do with real liberation. You know. Um, but yeah, just the naturalness, the relaxing, the opening, right? You know, and many of you, you know, like you can feel the medicine that's right for you. You know, and just ease into it. You know, um, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. No, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I hope you keep joining us.
I will. I went to Tassajara. I went to a Zen Tassajara, and I spent time there, and I left there, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, the Zen, the practice is the practice. The Zen is, Buddhism is
Yeah,
in me. It's not outside of me, and that's what I left with. That I am the Buddha. This is, or not, I am. You know what I mean? But it's
oh
like
yeah,
it's in me. I don't have to be a Tassajara.
yeah.
But I realized that it was very for me. I'm just being very transparent. It was very white,
It's
and
very.
I just yeah.
It's like a country club. It's Tassajara.
Oh,
You know?
it is a
It's-
country club, and I said, wait a minute, where are my black people? We need our own country club, but that's another conversation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just like, yeah, comfort is like, I mean, it's all about balance. Like, we have to get back to balance, right? Um, but
So
yeah,
what's the Eastern origin? I don't want to hold everybody too long, but what's the so I'm trying to get closer to the root, especially as someone who is an acupuncturist and holistic healer. I'm about the root of everything. And so I'm not trying to say there's a different limb of Buddhism that I'm just saying that I like Zen because it was clear.
yeah,
I'm not sure it resonates in my
yeah,
body.
yeah.
And so so you can speak to that if you can. If we can
Yeah.
talk later, that would be nice, but I'm not asking you to do that for me specifically, but I would like to know more about that.
I would always have these conversations with Reverend Angel too, because I was like, why did you do Zen? You know, considering, you know, just the kind of culture she came out of, you know, which was like music, hip hop, you know, kind of like the 90s culture of like New York and Manhattan, you know, and she and like other black Zen practitioners would tell me it was the form, it was like the discipline, it was the straightforwardness, like it was very clear, and people felt like they needed that clarity, you know, to get on track, that discipline really. So I really hear that, you know, and I think at the heart of like early Buddhist schools, like there's a lot of discipline, and that's important, you know. But as you move through the different vehicles and you get to Mahayana and to the late stages of Mahayana, which is Vajrayana, you know, there is an emphasis on space. This is like, let's come out of the rigidity and just open. But that's an assumption that you've moved through the trainings of the other vehicles to get there, um, to being able to open, and that's what drew me into Vajrayana, into Tibetan Buddhism. It just felt wild, like it just felt like there was no discipline, you know. But there was. I mean, there was a lot of precision in Vajrayana, right? But there's also this emphasis on space and fluidity as well. But that again is about balance, you know. And so, and you know, a lot of people say, Lama Rod, you're just kind of like whatever. Like I don't, you know, it's just like I'm not, you know, if you join me in retreats, like if you were just with me at Kripalu, you know, weekend before last, you know, I'm like I told you, I like to lead meditation like I'm having a cocktail at a bar. You know, like, you know, I mean, that's my form, but that form has come out of many years of rigidity and training. So you can't look at me and say, oh, that's where I want to start, because where I am now is the mastery of form, You know, I don't rely on form anymore because I've deeply internalized the discipline of practice. Form is important to internalize discipline. Once you internalize discipline, it's just there. Like you're just in practice. You don't have to think about practice. You are always practicing, right?
I
And
get that. Thank you for that. That was so clear. Like you're right.
oh,
It's about the clarity and the rigidity. And I knew it was clear. And now I'm moving to the next,
yeah,
whatever that looks like.
exactly.
Thank you for that. That was perfect.
Yeah. I am a professional. So like it's just like
You
I
you are
I
a
was gonna
professional.
get you there. But thank you. Yeah, yeah. Um, like you don't necessarily see the level of work that I've put in. You see me just kind of relaxing and hanging out, you know, and taking it easy, you know, but I'm on top of it. And you wouldn't be here if I wasn't on top of it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Like I've been here for a few weeks and I haven't said anything. And every time I get on, it's funny because I'm like, oh, okay, because I'm of a certain generation. I'm in my 50s, late
Yeah.
50s, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then you say something that resonates every time. And I'm like, oh my,
Hmm.
it's from your soul. So I appreciate
Oh,
that. Thank
thank
you for that.
you.
I want to take up the entire
Yeah.
time, but I'm wanting to just know where to go next. And so you're saying here, just keep going.
Yes. Just keep coming here, stay connected to the platform, to the community, um, and and see what appeals to you, what's of interest, you know, and then yeah, and sign up for something, get hooked up into something, you know. So, but there's so much stuff online now that you know, there's plenty of resources. So yeah, so thank you, and thank you everyone,
Thank
to
you.
everyone. Yeah.
Thank
Um, I've been, you know, I'll just say this and then there'll be it. I'll just, you know, I've been, I've been to all these places. That's how I'm able to teach. You know, I know the rigidity, I know the fear, I know the trauma, I know all that suffering, I know the confusion, I know being in the body, I know having to face death, you know, I know the confusion, I know the carcerality, you know, I know all of that, you know. I've befriended all of that, you know, and what you're getting is the expression of really a deep friendship with so much of the shit that most people run away from. Like I'm not afraid of the stuff anymore. I'm not afraid of systemic collapse. I'm not afraid of fascism. You know, not just because I have this sense of like the emptiness of things. It's more so that like I understand that things happen for a reason, right? And that things are teaching you. Everything is trying to teach you if you show up to it. Even though the teacher or the thing itself is very difficult, right? You have to find the medicine in what looks like and feels like poison, because there always is. You know, so you keep going. You know, you keep going with the brokenheartedness, with the rage, with the fear, with everything. You keep going, and you remember that you're not alone. You remember that all of you are very resourced if you can just believe that you are surrounded by so many beings who want you to be free. And if we can just consent to the ways in which they're trying to get us free, then our practice will change. You have to surrender to the medicines that are always being offered, right? And that will transform everything. And that transformed my practice. I stopped struggling with everything and just let myself be held and cared for and guided and directed, you know, and letting go of labels and ideas and just saying, you know what, this is the medicine that I need. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to drink it because it's offered freely to me. Just do that, right? Don't worry about what people think. You know, we don't, like don't let that go. You know, you're trying to wait for the consent of everyone around you to get free. You know, and that's never going to work out. You know, a matter of fact, it can't work out because we need you to embody liberation so you can inspire others around you. There are people who will never attempt to really embody liberation until they see you doing it. So you don't know who's watching. There are like thousands and thousands of people watching me. There are like very famous, well-known people that we all know and love who follow me, you know. And it's okay. Like, it's not something I think about all the time. I'm just doing my work. I'm just trying to embody freedom. I'm just trying to tend to everything. That's all I focus on, right? And knowing that people are watching. Everyone's watching, and it's okay.
Mhm. Can I ask where you're located, if that's okay, or is that?
The ATL,
Oh, my
Hotlanta.
husband's trying to get to Atlanta on a regular. Okay, my
Listen,
kids are at school in Georgia.
oh, where about?
Morehouse, and my daughter's at SCAD in Savannah.
Oh, yeah. Morehouse. That's right. I almost went to Morehouse. They couldn't handle me.
They're not ready.
I would have shut it down, honey.
Yeah. So my question is, how can we? So do you have? Where's all of your?
I might have something for that, Cameron or Carmen. I might have some info if we if Rod feels like it's time to Lama Rod feels like it's
I'll
time
just
to do that.
yeah. I'll just say we have some in-person things coming up. So like we'll stay connected to the email lists and everything, and we'll announce like gatherings. I haven't had one yet personally in the city. I've been everywhere else besides Atlanta doing stuff, but that's coming up. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm everywhere else too. So whatever you are, let me know. I'm in the DMV. I'm in, yeah, all the things. But I wanted to just connect with you, and so thank you for this, and thank you for giving me the time to talk, because I know a lot of people are on this Zoom.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. I know, Eric, you have something, and then we'll say goodbye.
I just want you to get your dinner.
I know.
Thank you so much, Carmen, for that richness. So as always, thank you all for sharing your healing presence and power. If this offering supports your liberation, please do consider donating to Lama Rod to help sustain this work, lamarod.com/donate. Of course, many links and resources are in the quick links document. Specifically, the Medicine Buddha archive is also included in that document. It's a YouTube playlist. Click right there. Hundreds of recordings available to support you. In addition, Lama Rod's website, lamarod.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. You can subscribe to his newsletter. There's always stuff being communicated there. There's monthly offerings, there's seasonal offerings, there's virtual stuff, there's in-person. There's also a practice and learning community that you can choose, your level of contribution that you want to pay for. That is another way to get regular connection with these teachings. So there's a lot of richness. Most of it, all of it, 100% of it can be found at lamarod.com. And yeah, just thank you all for everything that you make possible. Thank you for your presence. And of course, thank you so much, Lama Rod, for just sharing so generously this evening. Thank you all. Take great care. May all of our prayers come to fruition powerfully, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.